What do you notice about what you're exploring now from the past, from over, a huge span of time, to where people have gone in their journey, as, in evolution and becoming modern? And what is it about this that is, there is a real resurgence of the old ways going on. So what can you share about that?
I think, like Einstein, in some ways, that time is a continuum, and we do will repeat cycles in some senses. And I'm thinking back particularly to 100 years ago, in that Victorian era, and that whole resurgence of the interest in Eastern philosophy, thus popularized by Blavatsky and the Golden Dawn, which really was formed. It was a society with from gentle folk and men and women, really, that were interested in the old ways. And you go back before that, the Georgian period, they were doing the same. And then you go back again, and in fact, you can go all the way back to the Bronze Age, and stories of ghosts and spirits, and they've been with us for over 4,000 years. And I just think that we forever will, on this journey, because of the association with the here and after, it's obviously very special, very old. We keep repeating that pattern. And I remember seeing a grave, and it was, now you got a church which was about 13th century. By it is a cross, and when you visit in these churchyards, don't be fooled. The cross is there before the church. The cross has been put there between, well, in Britain, in general terms, has been put there between the Norman period and the Anglo-Saxon, and it was a place where they all worshipped, which would have been on a special point beforehand, next to a yew tree, perhaps, as a boundary marker. And then later on, when they built the hut, they removed all the stuff and put it inside of the church. Now, there's a particular church near here, so you've got the cross, the church, and then later on, there's a grave from 1885. I think Henry Scarrett is his name, I can't remember. And on the grave is an Ouroboros. There's a snake eating its tail. And it's a deliberate reference to the very old ancient symbol of the circle, the snake eating its tail. And it's a very old symbol. And so there you've got something from the Victorian that is deliberately reflecting back to the earlier medieval, that's then reflecting back to the Anglo-Saxon, and it keeps repeating itself. But I also think of a place I went to recently with beams, and I was looking for these witch markings, and one I found of 2 holes carved in the wood, 2 coins, one from 1861 that was bronze, and then next to it was one from 1961 in silver. I couldn't tell you why they put them there and what the rationale was, but there was exactly 100 years between those 2 coins. As long as we live, we will always have an acknowledgement of our ancestors in some way, shape or form.
It's fascinating, an absolutely fascinating topic, and to just to close and to draw attention back to that symbol of the circle and the Ouroboros and the cycles that we go through as humans. You spoke about the here and now and the hereafter, and that cycle of circle.
Yes, it is.
Allude to the before as well.
It's like the old god Janus, isn't it? The past, present, future, the 3-faced god, if you like, that the bloody Romans nicked off the Greeks. But yeah, and again, and this is what we do since time immemorial, isn't it? All the way back to the Neolithic, when they were just building these big stone monuments no houses. And then they were burying their ancestors in these long chambered tombs that are incidentally known as the long houses, the houses of the dead. We think they were using a form of ancestor worship, well, we did in the past, on the landscape, but no one really knows why. But it's this treatment of these things. I remember somebody saying to me about animals, oh, you know, dogs have no souls, and bear with me, but yeah, I had to pinch myself thinking, what? But I pointed out to them that, you know, that we now know that the first dog that was buried in Europe was found in 1923 in Portugal. And it was a family, but in the middle was a dog that was buried with them. And now we understand that that dates to over 13,000 years ago. So as soon as we started burying the dog, why were we doing that? It was almost like questioning why. And of course, the first kind of species for evolution of the wolf, which was 25,000 years ago, was the Irish wolfhounds, and they were the first kind of dogs, the whippets and all that kind of thing. You know, so even with our animal friends as well as us, there's a lot more going on. You know, there's a lot more going on with our treatment of and our, therefore, our thoughts on this life. You know, and I suppose
it's a real show of reverence to.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I think the one message that's the constant with all the religions, all the beliefs, all the spiritual movements, the one message is, you know, love. And I don't mean that in a sparked out hippie sense, you know, but love really, you know, and that sort of well-being to your fellow human beings is the whole essence of what this life is about. There's going to be things we don't know. We just need to work out. And I always say to people, you know, your own journey is it's private, it's personal, but it's unique to you. And I think, like I found throughout my career, if you ask the question why, there's a lot that you know, and we look within ourselves in a balanced way. There's nothing you can't achieve. You know, a lot of people say to me, "Oh, archaeology, I'd love to have done that." And I always say to the kids, you know, that I see, you can do anything that you want. It's in your soul. It's in there. You know.
Thank you so much for an amazing chat, and here's to many more. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Bless you.
And you.